The continuing development of the Scout rifle as it pertains to me and its use on about version 3.0, developing the Scout rifle for myself. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life. If you're interested in Scout rifles or handy, general purpose, practical rifles, anything in that niche, you might like today's episode. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, hunting, protecting, providing, being a strong, competent man who's armed and willing to use that in the right way in the right situations with biblical Judeo-Christian values and real-world first-hand experience. Welcome to Gunfighter Life. Bio, bullet points in the show notes. I'm blessed with a lot of real-world experience, and I try and use that to help you guys. American-made, veteran-owned, small business, dolphin-free, sustainably harvested. If you want to help out, check out Patreon. Also like, subscribe, leave a review. Let's get into it. The Scout rifle. The Scout rifle as defined by Jeff Cooper. I've got his book. Oh, I'm looking right at it. It's right in front of me. To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth. He published it in other places, the idea of the Scout rifle. Now, I'm going to go out and tell you that I don't own an actual Scout rifle. Jeff Cooper's, depending on who you ask, his criteria is not exactly set in stone. Even he changed it from time to time, I believe from 6.6 to 7.7 pounds. He wanted a fixed power scope, of which I have had on this rifle, version 1.0. But I think it's in keeping, let's call it a Scout-ish rifle if we're going to be particular. And Jeff Cooper, to be fair, he coined the term Scout rifle as far as I can tell, so he gets to define and say what it is. I know it was Colonel Jeff Cooper, no disrespect, but I don't make you call me Sergeant Melito. I don't expect you to refer to me as Sergeant Melito. Right, you're not information. I'm not information, so... But without rehashing everything about Scout rifles, it's a rifle for Scouts. And it was never meant to be a mainline infantry rifle to go toe-to-toe with AK-47s. It was never meant to be the world's best Western hunting rifle. It's a general purpose rifle. Good as a light, handy, quick shooting, manageable weight, meant to be shot in and this is a big one, meant to be shot in practical situations, in practical positions, not off a rest, not off a bunch of other stuff. Standing, sitting, kneeling, prone, of which I'm, if memory serves correct from his book, Cooper was a big fan of, and I'm a big fan of. The classical U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. military service rifle shooting positions, standing, sitting, kneeling, prone. Practical rifle, not some giant abomination that weighs 10 pounds with a giant scope on it that makes it top heavy and obese, but a practical rifle. I have been messing with this for several years. I've taken a couple of deer with it. It's an often go-to truck gun for me. My particular one is a Ruger Scout rifle. I got the Ruger for many reasons. One, stainless steel. One, Ruger made in America. It's not a shall, you have to buy American-made guns, but if you can, I'd encourage you to, or a friendly country, maybe not a country that encourages slave labor or who wants to cut your head off because you're a Christian, maybe not those nations, but I like to buy American when I can. Anyway, it's American, it's stainless steel, it's controlled round feed, which I like. I'm a big fan of controlled round feed. Light, handy. I got initially, and this will come into play later, the wood furniture version. When I got it, I was living up on the Canadian border in Idaho, in the very cold area, right? So one of the practical things of wood is it doesn't suck the warmth out of your hands quite as much. And when I'm hunting, stalking, still hunting, tracking, the kind of hunting I prefer to do, I really avoid wearing gloves unless I absolutely have to. I will bear the uncomfort of being cold without gloves on because I don't like gloves when I'm doing that kind of stuff. When I was getting my elk last year, stalking up close to an elk to get it to feed the family, I was crawling hands and knees in the snow without gloves, to give you an idea. Anyway, wood does not suck the warmth out of your hands quite as much as some other stock materials. It's one of the reasons I got the wood. Another one is I know how to bed a wood stock. I'm fairly comfortable, hogging out a wood stock to make it free floated if there's any issues, bedding a wood stock. So another reason I got it. That was a kind of version 1.0. I got the rifle. I wanted to try Cooper's original idea. I put a fixed 2-power scope Burris mounted far forward. He stipulated a fixed, I think, 2.5, 3-power scope. So that's what a scout rifle is. If you put something else on there, it's not really the same thing. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm just being real with you. So I wanted to try that concept. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I then wanted to mount my favorite scope for all-around stuff, which is a Leupold 1.5 to 4. 1-inch tube, sleek, felt, good for most things. But the issue is, with that rifle, one of the reasons I like a scout rifle is it has iron sights. Well, you can mount a traditional scope on the Ruger, but you have to remove the rear iron sight, which kind of defeats one of the big purposes I like the scout rifle. Most modern rifles today sadly don't come with iron sights, which I think is a tragedy, but it is what it is. So I didn't want to do that. So I was able to find a workaround. It was a Monstrum mount. It is what it is. It was the only one that I could find. And to be fair, that mount was rock solid the entire time, couple of years I had it on there. Rock solid. But it was kind of a kludgy workaround. It was an offset mount that I mounted the reverse way it was intended to hang the gun way back over the receiver so I could shoot a regular eye relief scope on the scout rifle and still keep the iron sights. It worked. If you're looking for a solution like that, that worked. It was a big mount. It was kind of kludgy, and it threw off the balance. No thing with the mount. I was using it in a way it wasn't designed, and it was still a decent mount to give credit where it's due. And I really like that scope. There are not a lot of really good scout scopes on the market. One of the ones, after quite a few reviews and reading and stuff on it, that I saw was the Hilux. The Hilux makes a 2 to 7. I'd prefer like a 1 to 5 or something, but 2 to 7 is what it was, and it was a long eye relief scope. I could mount it with QD rings, quick detach rings, to use my iron sights. And I could mount it where it was supposed to be. It wouldn't throw off the balance of the gun. It would leave easy access to the action of the rifle. And so I thought about that for a while, and I decided to get it. I already had some worn QD mounts, which are very good. And I also, since my wife also hunts, and we might try and get her an elk this year, God willing. I wanted her to use something a little bit bigger than a 243, although I've taken a few elk with a 243. It can be done. It takes a lot of discipline to do. And I had her out shooting the scout rifle, and she liked it. And a primary reason I got a polymer stock, I ordered it from Midway USA. They had a blemished Ruger Scout stock for around $100. It may have been a little bit under, a little bit over. I was like, I'm going to buy that. I don't care if it's blemished. I'm going to blemish it pretty quick. So I ordered it. I got it. It's lighter than the wood stock. And now that I don't live as close to the Canadian border, still cold, but not quite as cold. I thought I'll try the polymer stock. I'll save some weight. Well, I got it. The big problem with that stock is it's black. Why they make black stocks, I'll never know. Like, who wants black? Do you hunt in a coal mine? I don't hunt in a coal mine. I don't operate operationally like an operator in a coal mine. Black is one of the worst colors ever. I mean, it's better than hot pink, but come on. We can do better. Why are we making polymer stocks if we can make any color in black? Make them OD green, make them tan, make them gray. Make them multicam if you gotta be uber tactical, but make them something other than black. Anyway, it was black, so I camoed it. It came with pillars, which I was pleasantly surprised with. It came with aluminum pillars. And I also put some bedding in there, some bedding compound in there in certain places I thought would be advantageous. I got it all set up, and God provides. I went out the other day, shot it. I shot a few rounds to get it sighted in, and then I shot my first couple of rounds for group. It shot phenomenally well. I shot another group with the ammo I intended to shoot out of it because I was shooting other ammo. The first group I shot for group shooting with the ammo I intend to shoot out of it, which is nothing special, a Walmart load, Federal High Shock, 150 grain. One of my good go-to 308 loads, affordable, accurate. It shot under MOA. That rifle stock with both kinds of bedding and everything, it shot better than it had before. And it wasn't bad before. When I first got it, it shot a couple of MOA. Then I bedded the wood stock. It shot pretty decent, I would say. Maybe MOA, probably 1.5 inches, which is fine for that kind of rifle. Not everything has to be a 1/4 MOA gun. But this one I got shooting with, and just one, I wasn't like cherry picking groups. I shot 2 very good groups. And the first one I shot with the ammo I intended to shoot out of it, sub MOA group. Now I set my guns in at 50 yards, but it was well under a 1/2 inch. If you extrapolate that out to 100, because that's how MOA works, it'd be under 1 inch. Very happy with those results. And it's not like I was shooting it off a bench rest, off a vise with a bunch of stuff. I was shooting it from the prone on a piece of rubber. Still shot under MOA. Very, very happy with that. For everything that I want to do with that rifle, plenty good enough. I'm very impressed with the Hilux scope 2-7. Not a brand I've used before. I would have liked to have gone with a L.A.P.D, which I like. I was not real interested in going with a Vortex. I've never been happy with their products. Maybe I just haven't used the right one yet. I know they sponsor a lot of the big names, but I never have thought they were good. And again, I haven't used all their products, but the ones I have used, I haven't been impressed with. So looking for a solution, I found the Hilux. I like the reticle, which is big. I like the weight, which is important for me. One of the whole reasons I want the Scout rifle is because it's light. So I liked that. It's sleek. It's felt I can mount it very, very low in between the iron sights, which I like. Right? These don't make the mistake of mounting some big high abomination like you would mount on an AR because it has a buffer tube on a hunting rifle or a practical rifle. That's not what they were designed for. Those big tall mounts. Don't be that guy. I see that sometimes on like used guns in the gun store, and I wonder if they got rid of that gun because they couldn't shoot it because they set it up wrong because they put giant AR mounts on a regular rifle, or vice versa. They put tiny low hunting mounts on an AR rifle, and they can't figure out why it doesn't shoot, why it's not comfortable. Use the appropriate mounts. That was a rabbit hole. Anyway, good scope, sleek felt scope. Obviously, it holds 0, but shooting groups like that. Now, I haven't put it through a hunting season of dropping it and sliding down mountains and all the other kinds of stuff that are likely to happen. Being out in a rainstorm or a snowstorm or whatever. I've been out scouting with it. Was blessed to get pretty close to 7 elk yesterday. That was pretty fun. Not season yet. I was just out scouting, rucking, being out in God's beautiful creation. But it balances very well. It handles well. It's clear. It's sharp. Image. I like the reticle. Not the exact reticle I would design, but it's pretty good. I like the mounts. I like the QD. I have had mounts come loose. I have had optics break. The fact that I can just twist those off and use the iron sights, I like that. One of the other things that I did, obviously it came with a recoil pad, the stock did, and there was nothing wrong. I liked the recoil pad that came on it. It's a very good recoil pad, although I took it off and I put on a Limb Saver slip-on recoil pad. I didn't add it to the back because that would make it too long. One of the things I like about the Scout rifle and that stock is you can adjust the length of pull, which I do because I shoot in a modern stance. I don't shoot in like a fully bladed stance, even when I shoot like service rifle competitions. For now, I shoot in a modern bladed stance because I want to practice what's practical. I don't shoot in the 17th century Napoleonic musket stance. I shoot in a modern fighting stance, and I do that with the Scout rifle as well, which generally means you want a much shorter length of pull than some giant 14-inch lengths of pull, unless you're a 7-foot tall guy. So I took the recoil pad off. I added the slip-on recoil pad, not because the recoil pad was bad, but because I wanted to store stuff in the buttstock and be able to get to it without tools. With that Limb Saver pad, which is a good recoil pad, which is why it was designed, but it slips on, so I can just slip it off. I can just grab it and pull it off, and that gives me access to a hollow polymer stock, which, pretty cool, I can store extra stuff in. I put in 1 extra round. You could do something, lose your ammo, run out of ammo, at least you have 1 round. I put in 1 extra round. I put in a full bore snake. I may cut that in half or something to save weight, but it doesn't weigh that much. I put in a plastic bag with some portions of those blue shop towels that are much more heavy duty than regular paper towels, soaked in Ballistol. And I put in an optics cleaning cloth in the stock. I may add a scalpel blade or something. I often have more than 1 knife on me. It'd be weird, and if I needed one, I could just beat a spent casing and sharpen it on a rock, and then I would have a knife. Wouldn't be the best knife, but it would work. Anyway, that's kind of how the Scout rifle for me is configured. I plan on, it is one of my go-to rifles. It's one of my go-to truck guns. It's one of my go-to, hey, I want to go out and scout and see if I can see some bear. Take the hounds out. Or I'm going to go scout a new area. It's a Scout rifle, right? It's light, handy, it's sleek, it's felt. It's in a fairly potent cartridge. It's a good all-around rifle. It's not my most accurate rifle. I'm looking at a Sig Cross right now, which is a fantastic rifle, which you might argue is a Scout rifle. Except for the fact that it doesn't have a forward-mounted optic. It has a traditional optic, but it does have backup irons on it. It's light. I think lighter than the Scout rifle. It's way more accurate. I don't know about way, but it's a crazy accurate gun. Detachable magazines, good trigger. It's foldable. It's not controlled round feed, though. You got to crunch some ice with your bolt or things like that, or you're going really, really fast running your bolt. I'm more confident in a controlled round feed. And the Scout rifle, the Sig Cross is a fantastic rifle. But I find myself grabbing the Scout more often. It's just kind of a good beater, just hardcore use rifle. I like it. It obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, you may not know, it takes ACIS mags. I like the flush fit 3-round mag if I'm hunting because I like to carry it under the receiver. I generally don't like to have my rifle slung if I'm hunting. It cuts my odds greatly that I'm actually going to kill something if I'm stalking or still hunting if my rifle is slung. I like to have the option for a sling. I like to carry my rifle. It's way more likely I'm going to get a shot off if I have the rifle in my hands rather than on a sling. But there are sometimes really technical terrain where it's much safer for me to have the rifle slung, or if I've already killed my animal and I'm trying to butcher it, at least I have the rifle on me. It's a pretty dangerous part of your hunt when you're all covered in blood and guts and there are grizzly bear, wolves, black bear around. So it's nice to have a sling for that, but generally I don't like to sling my rifle. I like to have it in my hand. Right shoulder arms, left shoulder arms, port arms, you get the idea, in your hands, touching it. Which I make my own sling. It's real light, real minimal. Also, I can use it as a traditional loop sling for shooting, of which I'm very familiar with. Get some extra stability. No, you don't need a bipod. No, you don't need a tripod. No, you don't need shooting sticks. You need to learn how to shoot with a rifle and a sling. Anyway, that's some thoughts and the development of my use of the Scout rifle, version 3.0. I thought it would be helpful for some people out there. Take what applies to you. Toss out the rest. Don't just think about the specific rifle. Think about the core concepts. Light, handy, fast shooting, potent enough cartridge, rugged, reliable. You get the idea there. Anyway, with that, guys, I appreciate you. Appreciate all that you do. Instead of a tactical tip, I'm going to give you another concept because it came up on Patreon. One of the guys asked about the shorter barrel in the Scout rifle. The Ruger Scout rifle has a 16-inch barrel. Many of those kind of rifles have a shorter barrel. I'm a ballistics nerd too, but that's not the point of the Scout rifle. If you want the best ballistic round, you don't want a 308 anyway. A 308 is like the plain Breyers vanilla. If you're going to compare it to ice cream, and forgive the analogy because I haven't eaten that kind of food in a long, long time. I don't eat junk food. I don't generally eat refined sugar. I don't even like to eat fruit. I like to eat meat and protein and fat. But anyway, you get the analogy, right? Like, it's probably not the most delicious ice cream. Probably Rocky Road or cookies and cream or cookie dough is better for certain situations, but probably not as good if you want to make a root beer float or you want to make a ice cream sundae or whatever. If you want the vanilla ice cream that's applicable to a broad variety of situations in the practical rifle world, it's the 308. 308's not good. It's not great ballistically anyway. It's very, very plain vanilla. It's okay. It's 150 grain bullet at 2,800 feet a second. You're going to give up a little bit of that velocity with a shorter barrel, but you're also going to gain light, handy maneuverability of the rifle. Right? If you want a much better ballistic round, get a much better ballistic round. That's not the point of the Scout rifle. It's a good, potent cartridge, good enough at reasonable shooting distances. Again, this is not a rifle meant to be shot off a bench rest. And so many things in the shooting world, handguns, rifles, shotguns, it's a matter of trade-offs. Yeah, you could get a longer barrel and have better ballistics. You could chamber it in a 300 Win Mag and have better ballistics. But it's not going to be a light, handy, quick shooting rifle then. It's going to be some bench rest abomination. So, are you giving up some ballistically with a shorter barrel? Yeah, you are. You're giving up some by choosing a 308 in the first place. You're not choosing 308 because you want the most heavy-hitting round. There are way better rounds. There's probably a dozen that are better than a 308, but they're probably not as practical. I like to go out and practice, right? I wonder if my shoulder is still bruised and black and blue from shooting some heavy recoiling rounds. I think it still might be from shooting so much. I'll happily go out and shoot an afternoon of practice with a scout rifle. I don't want to do that with a 300 Win Mag. I don't want to do that with a super lightweight rifle, right? Snap shooting and a bunch of other practical shooting with something like that. Just ballistics on paper are one thing, but think about it practically. Think about the end goal first. What do you want the cartridge to do? Can it do it? And what are you giving up? And what are you gaining by maybe choosing something different? Again, this is not the best elk hunting rifle, although would not hesitate to take it elk hunting. But if I was hunting fairly open terrain, as far as just a pure elk hunting rifle go, this is not an elk hunting rifle. It's a scout rifle. It's meant to be a multi-purpose rifle. It's like a Leatherman of rifles. Leatherman's got a decent knife on it. It's not going to be as good a knife as a good fixed blade knife. It's just not. If I wanted the best elk rifle, I wouldn't worry so much about the iron sights. I'd get a long barrel 280 Ackley improved or similar. It's not the point of this rifle. Just instead of a tactical tip, I thought I would throw that kind of concept out there. Anyway, guys, with that, your tactical verse of the day. This is from 1 Corinthians. I've been meditating on it today. But I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. Your body should obey you, the deeper you, spirit, soul, mind, and body. Make your body be subject to you, not you be subject to its passions and lusts and issues. Beat it into submission. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.